Hello students, myself Dr.C.R.Chougule, Head Department of English, Gopal Krishna Gokhale College, Kolhapur. This lecture is for the students of B.A.3 Special English. Name of the paper number 8 is English Poetry for the semester 5th. Let us know the metaphysical poem The Caller by George Herbert. The Caller is a poem by Welsh poet George Herbert, published in 1633, and is a part of a collection of poems within Herbert's book The Temple. The poem depicts a man who is experiencing a loss of faith and feeling of anger over the commitment he has made to God. He feels that his efforts in committing himself to his faith have been fruitless and begins to manifest a life for himself without religious parameters. He denounces his commitments and proclaims himself free. The poem's themes include the struggle with one's belief and the desire for autonomy in defiance of religious restriction. The speaker is trying to create his own limits to lead himself rather than following God. He tries to convince himself that a life of freedom will bring him the satisfaction that his faith has failed to provide. The title of the poem, The Caller, is symbolic. It seems to represent the relationship between the man within the poem and the God. The collar in this poem may refer to a clerical collar, which priests wear as a religious symbol. To take off the collar is to revoke one's dedication to ministry. The title may also refer to the term to slip the collar or to slip out and avoid the restraints of the church. Herbert portrays the collar as a form of restraints for priests and as a play on words, conveying that the collar can be seen as one for a slave to it, or rather to Christianity. After all, a collar is a restrictive garment, often a symbol of ownership. Levitt and Johnston introduced the idea that the use of the word collar by Herbert can be seen in a nautical sense as that supports and maintains the mainmast of a ship, preventing it from moving from its position. Levitt and Johnston compare the poem's speaker to mast of a ship and the collar of the ship to a clerical collar. Each are being held in place by restraints. There is also the possibility that the poem uses the title sonically because collar sounds like the words collar and choler. Dunn Randall points out that this poem is a story of choleric man who has a burst of strong emotion, connection, the lines, and illness to the line, but as I raved and grow more fierce and wild. Speaker in the line, me thought I heard one calling child. Barbara Herman points out that the beginning of the poem starts at the end of a man's journey and the beginning of a new one. The speaker isn't a present tense speech. Herman explains the speaker has reaped what he has sown, and the poem signifies the use of the word harvest as a metaphorical meaning, the fruit of his labor has not bountiful. In the first 6 lines, the reader is clued into the conflict, a man struggling with his faith. The speaker has decided to go abroad or to abandon himself in the current life. In another poem by Harvest, Content, the speaker warns himself to avoid absorbing and listening to his muttering thoughts. Herbert's poetry often follows this theme, man's relationship to his faith. The speaker declares, "My lines and life are free, free as the road, loose as the wind," meaning that his restraints are not physical but spiritual, and he is considering why he should remain in God's servitude. He is declaring that there is a whole world beyond the life he is currently living and much to experience. The man is earning earthly desires and has been blinded by the fact that God has not provided the riches he feels he deserves. The word "no more" in this line first introduces the man's feelings as he has experienced too much turmoil but now feels angry enough to live the present life. That's why he declares, "I will abroad." Levitt and Johnson make the claim that the broad the speaker strikes in line first is meant to represent the deck of a ship. In lines 7 through 15, the speaker explains that his harvest, his work, hasn't produced the kind of abundance he desires. The line, "Have I no harvest but a thorn? They will sow wheat but reap thorns. They will wear themselves out but gain nothing. They will bear the same of their harvest." The speaker questions why he hasn't received this, which he feels he has earned through his dedication to God. He admits that, sure, there was wine, there was corn, but these payments are washed away by his inability to be grateful for such things. Wine and corn may symbolize bread and wine, used in a Holy Communion, which calls back to the image of the speaker slamming his hand down on a communion table. In line 13, the speaker wonders, "The years only lost to me," showing that he questions whether he is the only one not receiving God's favor. By this point, the speaker has become so concerned with his desire for freedom that he gets lost in the idea of being a slave to God. He forgets that while following God means to bear a burden, it is not one which is difficult or impossible. In lines 16 through 27, the speaker discusses other ways to enjoy life's pleasures and how he can achieve them on his own. He appears to be convincing himself that there are better ways of living than the life he has chosen for himself. The speaker no longer seems concerned with being sinful or sinless. He decides to end his evidence of double pleasures which he couldn't partake in both of his life, that is faith. He seems less concerned with what is wrong and what is right. Lastly, the speaker refers to a moment or a figure which exists as a reminder of the fact that the death comes for all in the end. The speaker is aware that he is not immortal, and this realization inspires him to seek fulfillment while he is physically present on the earth. He decides to tie up all his fears and wants to lead his life. Thanks for listening me carefully and attentively. Thank you.